different.
Class is the greatest. That's where real expansion of your mind and talents can be found. Turn on. Tune out of the rat race and its square problems. And tune in on real self-knowledge and creative power.
Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Jedi Brandon Kenobi, and today we're going to be talking about Disney Star Wars Ahsoka, Episode 4, which is titled Fallen Jedi. And the episode begins right where they left off at, still stranded on planet Cetos. And with the communications still down, they can't call for backup. So they prepare, because their only option is to pursue before it's too late. But before they leave, Ahsoka wants to know if she can count on Sabine. She pretty much tells her she's going to have to sacrifice this map, which is going to sacrifice Ezra. And that's one thing I don't understand. Sabine is so set on finding Ezra. How is she even certain that he's still alive? And if he's somewhere trapped in a different galaxy, how do you even expect to find him? And I got another question about this star map. I knew that it looked familiar, but I didn't think it was this familiar. Do you guys remember this old cartoon movie that came out called Treasure Planet? And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because I think they did. And one way I'm certain of it, they have the same exact map in both this cartoon and this TV show. It looks exactly the same, and it works exactly the same. I guess they were hoping since the movie came out in 2002 that we had forgotten all about it. But I didn't. I mean, they could at least try to make this map look different, but it has the same exact markings on it. So I caught you red-handed, Disney, reusing the same properties over and over again. We getting reboots, we get resets, and we get remakes. Just come up with your own ideas. And stop giving us these classic products reimagined for the modern audience. But I think I've said enough about that. So let's get back to this episode. And at this point, Ahsoka is still trying to convince Sabine that the only option they have is to destroy the map. But for some reason, Sabine is convinced that it won't come to that. And just a side note, the way that she moves, the way that she acts, nothing has come across to me as a Mandalorian. Mandalorians are supposed to be warriors, but she seems like a regular person with armor. And I mostly blame that on the actress playing her because the portrayal of Sabine in the Rebels cartoon was way better. She had way more emotion. She had way more drive. To be honest, if they didn't tell us already that this was Sabine, I would have never have known. But this next scene is probably the funniest or the dumbest. I still haven't decided which one. Hu Yang's outside fixing the ship, and I guess he gets attacked by one of these HK droids, I'm assuming. And then we get two robots fighting with their bare hands? Metal on metal? Even though Hu Yang doesn't have lips, the HK droid covers his mouth and tries to stop him from screaming. Help! Help! I'm surprised he has to even say anything to send a message out. I mean, he is a robot. Can't he just send a signal? I guess not. But he gets the attention of Sabine and Ahsoka somehow. That flip right there didn't make any sense at all. Why would they have Sabine do that? There are too many times in this show where they're trying to make things look cool and not making them make any sense. And I know it would be too easy to kill them off right now, but aren't these the same HK droids that attacked her in episode 1? Don't they all have the same explosives that they had in episode 1? They should just be able to blow up right now. Well, at least not those guys, but the droid could have. And I am going to talk about this fight scene just for a quick second. It was super underwhelming. I mean, can we at least get one dismemberment? The lightsabers don't do anything. I mean, yeah, they're laying there on the ground, but did we see them do anything? Not really. Hu Yang tells them to stay together, which I'm sure they probably won't. And that's when we get our next scene shift to Hera. And I guess she didn't have a babysitter because she decided to take her son along with her on this dangerous mission? Now that decision really doesn't make any sense. And she's supposed to be a general? Once a rebel, always a rebel. She actually said that in this episode. And I guess that's her telling us she does what she wants? Yeah, anyways, but the next scene starts off with Morgan the Witch and Baylan Skoll. And they're discussing their plan. And she's telling him to have faith. And he says to her, I lost that a long time ago. And at this point, I hope they just explain who Baylan Skoll is. Like, I know they've given us his name, and they said that he was at the Jedi Temple, but I want to know who he is, where he comes from, what are his motives, why does he want to bring destruction? Just give us some more of his backstory, because we already know he's only getting one season, so I hope they fulfill his story at the end of this. At this point, Ahsoka and Sabine are stopped in the forest before they can reach Baylan with the map. Going someplace? Was that really the best line they could come up with? Even if it wasn't, that's all they gave her to work with. And this episode is probably the pace that we want in every episode. Because they actually give us another fight scene. They actually give us 2 fight scenes. We get Ahsoka versus Merrick, the rematch, or Maruk, or Marak. I'm really not sure how you pronounce his name. And then we get the rematch with Sabine in Shin Haiti. And the fight scenes are okay, I guess. I mean, they're the best we've gotten so far. But they end up splitting up again. They actually start this fight scene off with Sabine shooting her blasters at Shin, but she hits ghost mode and takes off running. And Sabine chases her into the woods, even though she has the ranged weapons. But I know if I was in that situation, I'm not chasing anybody down with force powers. I would try to keep my distance because they have force powers. And this battle's okay, but Ahsoka for some reason doesn't use her force powers either. And I noticed during this fight she's only using one lightsaber, but maybe that's because she's not facing multiple enemies. And I can only assume they forgot what each other look like because they're doing the staring and posing again. And Ahsoka's still winning in the posing game. And Merrick finally attacks, and it looks alright, but it kind of looks CGI to me. But they finally got the pace going at a good speed. They're shifting back and forth between Sabine and Ahsoka, showing both their fights at the same time, and that's exactly what we want. They should have brought this intensity in each episode. But the only letdown I can say about this fight scene is the ending to Ahsoka and Merrick battle. She's already met this guy once, and you can actually say that he beat her in the first battle because he got away, didn't he? They fought, he left, she didn't pursue. So at this point, we're expecting this guy to be somebody important. I mean, he is carrying an Inquisitor lightsaber, so I was genuinely interested. I wanted to know who he was. They finally give us a big reveal, and the big reveal is, ta-da! He's nobody. He's nothing. He's just gas. He's just fart gas. He stinks. He's everywhere. Killed in one swipe, and I'm assuming that he's nobody. And I guess they're implying here that Morgan the Witch created him, because they kinda implied earlier that she uses dark magic from Dathomir. But if that's the case, why didn't they just show us his creation? Or at least give us one scene of Morgan the Witch doing some dark magic over some armor. That would have made a lot more sense. But instead we get a weak-ass death scene like this. The only way I can kinda accept his death is if he gets resurrected and she has to fight him later on in the season. So Sabine and Shin are still fighting, but she notices that Merrick's been killed. And I guess she gets scared because she has this stupid look on her face like she wasn't expecting that to happen. And Sabine is feeling herself at this point because she tells Ahsoka to leave her behind. She says, go after the map, I'll take care of Shin myself. And at this point, I'm just wondering why they didn't just double team Shin and then go after the map. It would have been easier to do it that way. Especially when Hu Yang specifically told them to stick together. But that leads us into our next fight scene. Ahsoka Tano versus Baylan Skoll? And I have to admit, this fight scene is pretty cool. Two different fighting styles, a knight with a great sword, and a samurai with a katana. The dialogue is okay, but they're still not giving you any kind of back information that we need to know about these characters. One must destroy in order to create. Okay, that sounds good, but we still don't know your motives. And if you had the map, why do you even need Morgan if you're more powerful than she is? So somehow Sabine gets the upper hand and beats Shin in a fight. And for some reason, Shin doesn't use the Force. She just runs away. Back to Baylan and Ahsoka. And then when Ahsoka sees Shin, she just assumes that Sabine has been killed. I don't know why she didn't use the Force to sense that she hadn't been. And she automatically gets pissed off and she uses Force push on Shin. She pushes her straight into a brick wall and then grabs the map. But for some reason, the map burns her hand and it temporarily weakens her for some reason. And at this point, she's completely weak. Baylan knows that he has the advantage on her, so he pushes her. He pushes her and he gets her all the way to the edge of the cliff. He keeps hitting her with power strikes, and she's all the way on the edge. And eventually Sabine pops back up, but doesn't do anything and watches Ahsoka get knocked right off the cliff. And just like a smooth criminal, Baylan turns around and just starts trying to convince Sabine automatically to join his side. And this scene is just crazy to me. I'm supposed to believe that Sabine would actually join his side after watching him kill Ahsoka. And I know Ahsoka's not dead because she's in the next episode. But Sabine doesn't know that. For Ezra, I guess Baylan is very persuasive. So Morgan the Witch is still sitting nice and cozy on her hyperspace ring. And they're chilling, but immediately Hera shows up and they get confirmation from Hu Yang to stop the hyperspace ring immediately. One part that is kind of funny is when Baylan and Shin reach Morgan the Witch, she doesn't even acknowledge that Sabine's even there. And she actually doesn't even acknowledge the ships that pulled up that are there either because she gives the command just to leave and take off into hyperspace. But that's not all she does. When this hyperspace ring takes off, it demolishes every ship, every X-Wing, every fighter, every ship gets destroyed except Hera and her son. Somehow, some way they survive without a scratch? Mom, I got a bad feeling about this. After every ship's been destroyed, that's Jason's response. That force sensitivity must be kicking in. But the last scene we get is Ahsoka waking up in the world between worlds, or maybe this is a dream world. We don't know. All we know is that it looks similar, but it does look different. And then we finally get the big reveal, what we've been waiting to see. Hayden Christensen's back as Anakin Skywalker. And this is honestly what I wanted the whole entire time. Just give us a series with Anakin and I'll be fine. Or just give us a few episodes of some flashbacks. I'll take anything at this point. And that's all I got for Ahsoka Episode 4. If you like what you heard, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time with more movie news reviews.
And tune in on real self-knowledge and creative power.